The sponsor of my stream and podcast is DistroKid. If you want 10% off on your first subscription with DistroKid, release your music to the world on every major music platform. Make sure to go to my website, andrewvanzark.com, and click on the discount link under the tab of DistroKid.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
Welcome to the Andrew Van Zark podcast.
Now you're listening with power. All right. Welcome to the Andrew Van Zark podcast here on the Planet X radio station. Today we're going to talk about why do the Sith have yellow eyes? But before, a word from our sponsor. Now you're listening with power. The sponsor of my stream and podcast is DistroKid. If you want 10% off on your first subscription with DistroKid, release your music to the world on every major music platform. Make sure to go to my website, andrewvanzark.com, and click on the discount link under the tab of DistroKid. So let's get started here. For many years, the conflict between the Jedis and the Sith have long been the focus of George Lucas' Star Wars saga. Both widely recognized by their colorful lightsabers, long intimidating hoods, and use of the Force, the Jedis and the Sith are two sides of the same coin that can be hard to distinguish from each other. So, like the article says here, it's been quite some time when George Lucas was mainly focused on Jedis, Sith, but the world of Star Wars encompasses way much more. There's smugglers, there's bounty hunters, there's troopers, there are inquisitors, and so many different types of characters, you know? So there's many other distinguishable methods or characteristics, better said, that can distinguish good and evil. You don't have to always be red and blue or red and green or something like that, or purple or whatever, you know, whatever mix and match of colors or lightsabers you want to discuss, you know. So, of course, if you're already a huge Star Wars fan or have followed the story for long enough to know the difference, then you already know that there are a few defining traits for each side. The Jedi can usually be dressed in brown hoods and wielding blue or green lightsabers, while the Sith are typically characterized by their black clothing and red lightsabers. Whereas Sith are able to use lightning as part of their connection to the dark side of the Force. The Jedis usually refrain from its application, because the Jedis are trying to protect and restore the balance of the Force, whether the difference with the Sith are just trying to get power and use their passion. So in addition to their fashion selection and different color lightsabers, there are other defining characteristics of the Sith that clearly set them apart from the Jedi, like their yellow eyes. You know, you can see that on Anakin more specifically. When he's transitioning from a Padawan to a Sith, you can clearly see how it turns from regular eyes to yellow eyes. So the question we all been asking ourselves is, why do they have yellow eyes? So the Sith, if you haven't already noticed, they almost all have the trademark yellow Sith eyes. From Emperor Palpatine to Anakin Skywalker, almost every Sith has sported them. According to Star Wars, the visual encyclopedia, eyes reflect the emotions harnessed by the Sith. When rage and anger seethe inside the dark user, their eyes may burn yellow with a fiery red rim. Simply put, as a Sith, emotion and strong connection to the dark side are usually the reason behind their yellow eyes. In fact, the same way that the dark side can cause a kyber crystal to bleed and change the color of lightsaber, the flow of hate and anger will eventually cause a physical change in the Sith. Not only do they manifest the yellow eyes, but their skin also ages and becomes pale as another side effect of the dark side, corrupting their souls and body, similar to when Tom Riddle's allowed dark magic to transform him into the snake-like Voldemort in the Harry Potter series. So the question is, does every Sith have yellow eyes? Let's answer that. So, not necessarily. Certain Sith, like Count Dooku and Kylo Ren, don't have yellow eyes. And during Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, Anakin's eyes colors changed back and forth between blue and yellow on several occasions, before he finally becomes the famous Darth Vader. Even Darth Sidious has disguised themselves as the healthy politician, Chancellor Palpatine, and was shown with regular colored eyes. One might conclude that the yellow eyes are a fleeting trait of the Sith, but that's not entirely accurate either. According to CBR, despite the hate and rage that fuel them, a Sith power level can be determined by their mastery of their emotions and ability to hide their connection to the dark side. Darth Sidious is a prime example of this. In order to effectually orchestrate the fall of the Republic and the destruction of the Jedi, Sidious utilizes his role as Chancellor Palpatine to work behind the scenes as sway political opinion. But before we continue, let's listen to the word of our sponsor.
Andrew Van Zark, Andrew Van Zark, Andrew Van Zark, Andrew Van Zark, Andrew Van Zark.
The sponsor of my stream and podcast is DistroKid. If you want 10% off on your first subscription with DistroKid, release your music to the world on every major music platform. Make sure to go to my website, andrewvanzark.com, and click on the discount link under the tab of DistroKid. We're back, and let's continue learning why does the Sith have yellow eyes. So, of course, that wouldn't have worked well if we have seen Lord Sidious walking around with yellow eyes. He made sure to keep his yellow eyes hidden with his powers. However, strong fighters like Darth Maul, who are engulfed by their hate and unable to master the dark side, have a much harder time trying to conceal their physic traits. Younger or less experienced Sith are equally unable to hide their eyes from others because their dark emotions are too new to control. This explains why Anakin Skywalker's eyes continue to change back and forth while he was slowly being drawn to the dark side. In Star Wars The Visual Encyclopedia, Anakin's transformation is described as such. On Mustafar, Darth Vader's eyes glow as he massacres the Separatist leader, but return to normal when his wife Padme Amidala arrives. This infers that Anakin's yellow eyes only came into play when his rage was exhibited, and returned back to normal once he saw his lover and calmed down. It all makes sense when you think about it, but there are still a few issues with this theory. If rage fuels the dark side, and yellow eyes are a definite trait of being a dark user, why have we never seen Kylo Ren or Dooku's with yellow eyes? And the question we've been asking ourselves is, why does Kylo Ren and Count Dooku don't have yellow eyes? You would think, at least in Count Dooku's case, that it would have definitely manifested yellow eyes at some point during his time on screen. As apprentice to Dark Sidious himself for nearly a decade, Dooku was a formidable opponent. It is plausible for him to be powerful enough to hide his eyes, but that's not the real reason. Unlike his fellow Sith, Dooku did not have the same motivations and emotions as other Sith. He was an idealist who left the Jedi because he felt they had lost their ways, and he was displeased with the growing corruption in the Republic's Senate. He joined the Sith motivated by philosophical and political goals, not by dark side emotions like rage and conquest. As a more practical thinker, Dooku did have total control over his emotions and never really found a purpose in being angry, which may be why his eyes were never yellow. Kylo Ren's case is a bit different. Of course, we saw how angry he always was, and was clear that the dark side had its hooks on him. But interestingly enough, we never saw him with yellow eyes. That's because just like his grandfather, Anakin before him, Ren was conflicted between his good and bad side. As a result, his dark side was never able to fully corrupt him and change his appearance.
Andrew Van Zark, Andrew Van Zark, Andrew Van Zark, Andrew Van Zark, Andrew Van Zark.
The sponsor of my stream and podcast is DistroKid. If you want 10% off on your first subscription with DistroKid, release your music to the world on every major music platform. Make sure to go to my website, andrewvanzark.com, and click on the discount link under the tab of DistroKid. Now you understand a little bit why do the Sith have yellow eyes. If you want more information, there's a lot of theories around the internet that you can research by yourself. So thank you for listening, and this was the Andrew Van Zark podcast on the Star Wars Hub on the Planet X radio station, where we discuss Star Wars related news, whether it is from the music to the lore itself. This was the Andrew Van Zark podcast. If you have any thoughts or any messages that you want to leave me, go check me out on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Or my website, www.andrewvanzark.com. And I'll catch you on the flip side. Sayonara. When you listen to Andrew Van Zark, you listen with power. Now, you're listening with power. Andrew Van Zark. Stream on every major music platform. Power to the music.